Hey guys, this is Hitesh and welcome back to my channel. So today in this particular video, we will be going to discuss how can we fetch consecutive users using Python. I have solved the same problem using SQL as well, link of which is available in the description of this particular video. And let me just tell you, like those who had already watched that particular video, I would recommend to skip the introductory part of this particular session, and you guys can directly jump to the solution of this. Otherwise, you can go with the flow. So now let me tell you the concept which we are basically going to solve in as part of this particular problem. This concept is really very important as part of data science use case. So actually, in this particular concept, we have to this particular concept will help us to determine which users are actually engaging with our platform on a day-to-day basis, so that companies can provide more discounts and benefits to them, and thereby they can increase their revenue. So without wasting any time, let's get started. So I have already imported required libraries for to solve this particular problem. And apart from that, I have imported the CSV file as well. I have also provided the CSV file in the description as well. You guys can take a download from there, and you guys can practice this problem by your own. So let me just quickly show you what is there as part of this particular data set. So as we can see, we are having events level table. And in this particular table, we have day level information. So we are having date, we are having account IDs, and we are having user IDs as well, for those users who have basically visited on a particular platform, right? Now, as part of the problem statement, we have to basically fetch all those users who were active on a particular website or on a particular platform for three consecutive days or more, right? So now let me just tell you what are consecutive days basically. So consecutive days are nothing but basically, let's say if a particular user is continuously visiting on a website, right? So let's say if a user had visited day before yesterday, then user came back to website on yesterday as well, and user came back to website today as well, right? So basically we can say this thing on a consecutive manner, that particular user is visiting on a website, right? Or on a daily basis, that particular user is visiting on a website, right? So can I provide you a simple hint over here? So if we can say difference between all these 3 days, right? So difference between all these 3 days is just a 1 day, right? So can I say this thing? If we will be able to get difference between previous day and today, right? And that difference is, let's say, equal to 1, right? So basically we will be able to say that particular user is visiting on a consecutive manner to a website, right? So same thing we will be going to implement today as part of the solution of this particular video, right? So let me just tell you what we have to do. So over here, first of all, it's mandatory to check whether the column which we are having as part of date, whether it's in a date time format or not, right? Or by default we should be able to basically convert this to date time, right? So for that we have to basically take df date, right? And in pandas we have pd dot to underscore date time, right? And we will use this to convert this to date time format, right? Now we have to basically work on the date time, or date column, right? So it's a good practice to basically sort this out in ascending order, right? Because we have to check if a particular user, let's say, have visited the website from the starting of the year or not, or from the starting of his journey or not, right? So in order to basically get that, we have to basically sort this out from in ascending order, right? So for that, I will use df, right? And df dot sort underscore values, right? And I will basically give the parameter, by which column we have to sort this out. So we have to sort this out by date, right? And I will basically store this back to df column, right? Now, what we have to do, as I've mentioned earlier, we have to basically like get the difference between two consecutive days, right? So over here, the DF which I got, now this is arranged in a like specific order, right? So basically, my like if I will be able to calculate difference between these 2 days, I will be able to get the actual difference, right? So in Python, how can we calculate difference between the consecutive days or like between 2 days, right? So in Python or in Pandas, we have basically dot diff method, right? So we will use dot diff method, and we will be able to basically calculate difference, right? And like along with that, since we need only two columns from this particular data set, right? Because as part of the problem, we have to basically get all the users who were active for 3 consecutive days, right? So we over here, account ID is not required, right? So for that, I will fetch these like just these two columns, right? So for that, what I will do, I will do df dot group by. I will basically group it up. So all the users, I will group it up, right? Uh, User ID, on the basis of user ID, I will do, right? And what I will do, I will basically calculate difference between these dates, right? So over here, what I will do, I will get date, right? I will use dot diff. So basically what this will give me, let me just show you by running this. So over here, as you can see, basically as part of the user ID, I am getting these difference, right? Basically difference in dates, right? So over here we are, and let's see these differences are in dates, right? So for that, what I will do, I will basically convert this in the form of number, right? For that, I will use basically dot dt dot days, right? So as you can see, basically from days, I have converted these to numbers, right? Now, let me just store this back to a column where I will give this to date diff, right? So I will give this value to date diff column, right? Or I will store it back to date diff column, right? Now, let me just run this once again. So over here, as you can see, we are having nulls. So basically, we are getting nulls for all those users which were basically visited to the website for the very first time, because we don't have previous record for them, right? So let's say if we will be going to subtract previous day from current day for those records, we will not be able to get anything. So for that, we are getting like nulls for them, and like these ones, right? So basically 119. So all these numbers are basically let me just explain you like why we are getting one over here. So for like this, for user ID 1, as we can see, this particular user visited for the very first time on 5th, right? Then on 6th, then on 8th, right? And if we can see for this 9th, right? So so basically for this 5th, this particular record did not got the previous record. So for this, we are getting like null, right? Uh, no, sorry, my bad. I think like we have to discuss just for user ID 1. So for user ID 1, as we can see, basically this record did not got any other previous record, right? So we are getting null for this. Similarly, this record, since this record got the previous record, right? So we are getting one over here, right? So can I say this thing? This particular user had visited in a consecutive manner on a website, because like once he had visited on 8th, then next he had visited on 9th, right? Similarly, let's take an example of this, right? So basically this particular user had visited on a website on 25th, right? And we are having like 19 days gap in the visit of this particular user, right? Which is not a consecutive, right? Because after 19 days, this user had visited back to the platform, right? So this is not a consecutive, right? So can I say this thing? I have to filter, or I have to take only those records where date difference is 1, right? So as part of the logic, we have to take just those records where date difference is 1, right? But apart from that, can I say this thing, for all these nulls, right? For all these nulls, that particular user has visited on a platform for the very first time, right? Because why we are getting null over here? Because we don't have the previous record for that, right? So ideally, these cases will also be a consecutive only, right? Because we don't have previous history, right? And let's say if a particular company, or like if a particular platform is willing to promote their products for these customers, these cases will be the good ones, right? So I mean, like, this is completely dependent upon the business use case, right? But we can basically, as part of this particular problem, we will be able to take these records as well, right? So over here, what I will do basically, I will filter out data just for nulls and those cases where we have date difference as 1, right? So for that, what I will do, I will basically take df, right? I will fetch df, right? Date where date diff, right? Is equal to 1, right? Or what we will do basically, where date diff is null, right? So where date diff dot is null, right? So for that, what I will do basically, I will fetch these records, right? And I will use dot log function to basically fetch these records, right? And I will store it back to consecutive days variable. So I will use consecutive days, and I will store this into that. So let me just quickly show you what is there in this. So as you can see, we are having only those records where we have like nulls or 1, right? Now, yeah. So now, what we have to do basically, on the basis of user ID, because we have to count users, right? So can I say this thing? If I will do a count of all these, right, and where number of counts, right, or number of dates, like a date difference is more than or equal to 3, right? So over here, what I'm doing is I'm counting these records, right? So wherever our consecutive days are, so all these are consecutive days, right? So as part of this particular problem, wherever the consecutive days are more than or equal to 3, we have to basically fetch only those users, right? So for that, what we have to do, we have to just do a group by on top of like these days, right? And like what I will do, I will basically take user ID, right? User ID, and apart from that, I will do I will take from this date also, I will take like minimum of start date and minimum or maximum of end date as like part of my start date and end date, right? So for that, what I will do, I will take uh, start date is equal to date, and I will take minimum of this, right? Similarly, what I will do, I will spell mistake. Okay, so I will take end date, and end date will be nothing but date of like maximum of date, right? And apart from this, what I will do basically, I will take count of these dates, right? And wherever the count is greater than or equal to 3, we have to basically fetch those users, right? So for that, I will say consecutive days is equal to, we have to do count of date. Okay. So with this, I will be able to get, let me just run this and we'll show you how our output will look like. What's the, okay, consecutive days. We are having a, or let me just do one thing. Over here, we have user ID, right? Why it is throwing an error then? Oh, my bad. So we have to do a group by, right? So for that, what I will do, I will use group by, right? And df dot group by. We have to do df dot group by. So it will be df dot group by. Right now, let me just run this. Okay. So As you can see over here, we got like user ID, we got start date, end date, and these consecutive days, right? Now, from this, can I say this thing like this record and this record will qualify the output, right? Because like count of these are three, right? So let me just do this or like refine this in a tabular format. So for that, I will use reset underscore index, right? We got this in a tabular format. Let me just store it back to some variable as like, let's say consecutive days one. Okay, now let's filter out only the like those records where we have consecutive days greater than or equal to 3. So for that, again, I will use df.log, right? Where consecutive days one, again data frame, and column name is consecutive days, right, is greater than or equal to 3. So we are fetching only those records which are basically more than or equal to 3. And let me just quickly put this in df underscore output, right? Now let's see what will be the output over here. Yeah, so as you can see, we got like user ID 1 and 4, which was there as part of the previous data frame. And we got like consecutive days as like 3 over here, right? So yeah, that's all for like solution of this particular problem. I hope you got to learn something new as part of this particular solution. Thank you one and all. Have a great day ahead. Bye bye.